What's up, y'all? This is another episode of
Chillin on the Green Box with
Specks Thompson
and the View.
And we're here to give y'all a special episode today with an interview.
Yeah, one of our first interviews, really our second interview, but it's the official one though.
This is our first official one.
And we're gonna give it to y'all, man.
But yeah, we haven't aired that one yet. But that's our first one. And we're gonna probably air that one after this one, you know.
Cause we kind of be on CP time, man. You know how it is.
It be like that sometimes. But hey, glad y'all here, man. Stay tuned, man. Listen to the whole interview. We're doing short shows, man. Our show's only 30 minutes.
Yeah, so it's 30 minutes. You can watch this, go back to your doing. I know it's Saturday. We want to keep y'all up. Y'all get back to y'all doing, man.
And yeah, man. Just do that. But you know what's funny though?
What's funny, bro?
All these episodes being dead, we haven't been on the Green Box yet.
You know why? Cause it's cold as hell outside. Nobody want to be outside like that, man. We don't got no coats, man. No time for that,
right,
man.
Though.
Hey, I know, right, man. But come on.
But yeah, go ahead. You tell the folks a little bit about our guest and who he is.
All right, our guest is Chuck Cox. You know, writer, creator, at Roy House Comics. He's a dad. He's a partner. He's a Grammy considered writer. You know, he's everything, man, and a blur on top of that. So we're gonna check him out. You know. Y'all go check him out, and we're gonna break him down, you know?
That's cool, man.
He's a cool
talk
dude.
On this interview. But,
hey, bro.
yeah, we go ahead and bring him in, right?
Yeah, we can, but, I got something going on. Hey, you know, that song, I gotta, you know, the how, I got to. Hey, I'll be back. I'll be back, I promise, I'll be back.
Yeah, hold on one second.
It's gonna be quick, it's gonna be quick. Sorry about that, man.
That is all right. I understand.
Yeah, first interview, he was supposed to be here with me. Then, you know, the how I get, you know, I don't understand.
Stuff comes up.
Yeah, superhero stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But welcome, man. Welcome to my first official guest of the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem, man. No problem. We been doing group chats recently, you know. We had some great chemistry on, you know. So I was like, hey, he'd be perfect for my first guest, you know, because we just vibe like we've been new each other.
Yep. Thanks.
So yeah. So I'm gonna kick it off. I've been doing like studying podcasts, and I really like the cut up. Is it cut up? Yeah, the cut up with Steve Smith Sr.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like his podcast, how he had it formatted, so I try and modernize after his. But he done changed up, and he's doing some other stuff with his podcast, so it's different now. But I like his format, so I try to develop my own after his. With his, he had icebreakers. I don't know if you're familiar about Chillin the Green Box. You did it when you was a kid or teenager.
Back in the day, yeah.
Yeah, most people do a lot of things on there, like what this first thing on Chillin the Green Box, we're gonna break it down. So most people, you know, they sit on the ring and break stuff down. So, but this case, I'm gonna break you down so people know more about you, and we can see you as a person and how your brain works. So, My first question is, what do you wish your phone could do?
I wish my phone could look into people's heads and see what they're thinking.
Oh man.
And just show it to me on the screen. It doesn't have to say it out loud. You know, I could set it to tell me in my headphones, but if I could hold it up, get a little readout like a text bubble, see what people are thinking. Because sometimes
would they get alert in their head that you're inside them?
Absolutely not. That would just be for me, stuff for me to know.
So it's all discreet, huh?
All discreet.
Okay. I see.
I promise I wouldn't use the knowledge for evil.
Yeah, that's kind of like the video game. What was it called? The Watch Dogs.
Watch Dogs, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Second question. What was the worst haircut you ever had?
The worst haircut I ever had. Oh, it had to be the first time I tried to do it myself. I left patches all over everywhere, and nobody told me.
Oh man.
Yeah, and nobody told me. So I was walking around with patched up head all day.
That got to be terrible.
It was bad. It was really bad.
You hear some feedback?
No, I didn't hear any.
Okay. Third question. What what if you could have a sidekick and there's an animal sidekick? What would it be and why?
If I could have a sidekick, I would have like a raven. That way, if it could fly away and let me know what's going on around where I couldn't see. It's not like a dog, so it wouldn't be too needy. It wouldn't need to sit in my lap and hang out. It could just hang out with me, do its thing, give me a bird's eye view of stuff. And they're really smart too.
Would it be like a normal raven, like Peacemaker, or would it be like a massive raven, like
a huge one, like a 6-pounder with a 6-foot wingspan. Too big to hang out on my shoulder, but big enough for nobody would mess with us.
So would your raven, would it be on par with Falcon's raven or Falcon, whatever his little bird thing he had before the little
Red wing? Yes.
Red wing, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So you mostly a surveillance guy, right? Huh?
Yeah.
I see
just so I know what's up.
Your brain,
right.
You survey over.
You gotta know what's going on with people.
Yeah. So yeah, that was breaking it down. Now we're finna go to the back issues. You know, in comics, you know, if you want to learn about a character, you gotta go back in the back issues. So with you, we can go inside your back issues. So, where are you from, and what do you call your hood?
I grew up in Delaware, but I've been living in North Carolina longer than I was there. I call my hood Durham, North Carolina. It's the first place I ever visited that felt like home.
Okay, that's what's up. And where is that located? What's you say Dirk, North Carolina?
Durham,
North Carolina. So what is that in proximity to? What's the closest city or whatever?
It's right next to Raleigh, in between Raleigh and Chapel Hill.
Okay.
Like Charlotte is a little bit south of us, but
okay.
It's right here in the middle.
So a little close to everything, basically.
Everything. I can get to everywhere I need to.
Okay. So growing up there, what was like your first encounters with music? Like what kind of music was out there?
The first time, my very first concert ever was Rick James, Grandmaster Flash, and the Mary Jane Girls.
Oh man, that
sounds epic. I'm telling my age a little bit, yeah. But it was incredible. It left such an impact on me that I remember I was 8 years old. We had terrible seats where we were on the side so we could kind of see halfway backstage and halfway to the front of the stage. Rick James did his thing. There was pyrotechnics blowing up, guitars, drums, that bass stump in your chest. It was amazing. He walked off the stage, pitched his guitar. This dude caught it. He did one of these. These 3 women came out and started toweling him off, dried him off, and they all walked off backstage together. Hey, I was like, I want to be in a band.
Hey, that sounds epic. That sounds real epic.
It was life-changing. I started playing guitar not long after that.
Okay. So what age you start playing the guitar at?
I started playing at 9. I played till I was about 16. Took a couple years off, switched to bass when I was about 18. Been playing bass ever since.
Okay. So are you like Nick Cannon and Drumline? Can you not read music, but you can just play anything, or can you read music and go from there?
I used to be able to read music.
You used to be.
That's one of those things you got to do all the time. I haven't done it in a really long time. I learned a lot of things by ear or by looking at chord sheets. Like I did a little cheat and put the letter on it. I know what the letter is.
All cats go down alleys.
Yeah. I know how to find it. I know how to find it. You put the letter on it. But yeah, I've been playing for a long time.
Did you ever get into a band?
Yeah, I've been playing in bands since tell my age again, since the 90s.
Okay. So your website, It's Only Chuck, says you Grammy considered. So what does that intake?
Yeah, so you know how on the show on the Grammys you'll see like 5 nominees.
Yeah.
Before that, they have like 100 nominees, and then they cut it down to the ones you see on TV. And we made the second cut. You know, they had 100 whatever. We made the next cut, but then we didn't make the next cut. So
hey, at least you made a cut.
Right. And I got
Yeah.
this awesome list. It's got all these names on it, people, and it was a really cool thing to be considered for it.
Hey, that's most majority of people, probably 89% of people can't say that.
Right. So it felt like a win. We didn't make the cut, but it felt like a win. We did a lot of celebrating after that.
Yeah, I got a homeboy. He's a producer, songwriter, all that good stuff, right? And he wouldn't tell me though, but he said he wrote a country song that's out right now, and it's
That's
popular.
great.
But
That's great.
he signed an NDA that he can't talk about it and disclose that he wrote it because I guess somebody else is claiming that they wrote it, or they want an artist to say they wrote the song. So
Wow.
he won't be able to reap any benefits for it till way later.
Till later, royalty checks.
Yeah. Hey, go back in there. See, I knew she was gonna sneak in here.
Yep.
But that's crazy though. I might have to give her some ice cream so she'll stay in her room.
Keep her occupied, yeah.
Yeah, there she go again. Yeah. Let me go ahead and get some ice cream. At that time, tell the folks about the Black Astronaut and stuff like that. Talking about.
Okay. Black Astronaut Productions is my production company with my partner Super O, Omar McHale, and we deal in television, reality show, TV, and film. We actually just finished casting for a short film we're doing called Tasty. It's a horror film. We're in pre-production now. We're going to start shooting sometime in the middle of February. After that, we have another one coming called One for One. It's another horror short. We're going to look to shoot that late March, early April, and get those things released. Have a couple reality things coming up. We recently did a cooking show. We have another one coming up. It's called Are You Funny? And it's a stand-up comedians kind of, if you want to take an American Idol analogy, we got some stand-up comics coming in to win some prize money to see who's the funniest comedian that we can find. So we've been at Black Astronaut for a couple of years. We've had some pretty good successes on a smaller scale. So we're trying to broaden that scale now and get things going a little bit bigger, kind of try to take that next step up and keep doing productions. It's cool to have ideas and stuff, but the best thing to have is stuff in the can. So we're just shooting and trying to put together a team. We have a pretty good core group of people. We have access to a studio, so it's got all the things we need in this building. Outdoor, rooftop, lots and lots of rooms. It's 4 floors. So we're just shooting as much as we can and keeping it going.
All right, man. I'm back now. I had to calm her.
What flavor ice cream did you use?
We got some popsicles. I believe it's like popsicles that have ice cream inside the popsicles.
Even better.
Yeah. All right. Oh, okay. So, what was your first comic or comic-related TV show that I guess intrigued you or got you hooked?
The first, I remember my dad reading Spider-Man comics to me when I was young enough that I couldn't really read. But the first time I saw a comic on the newsstand and I cared about it, it was a Legion of Superheroes comic. I can't remember what number, but Lightning Lad was on the cover, and I thought his suit was the coolest thing. And I was like, I want to buy that. And after that, I never looked back. I started going to the comic shop in about 5th grade. But before that, I would ride my bike down to the corner store. They had them on the rack and just buy whatever, as much as I could. But that first time, it was Legion of Super. It was DC that first time. I couldn't tell you what the story was. I just remember that suit looking cool. The cover had Earth with a bunch of chains around it, and it was a bunch of Legionnaires trying to, attacking the chains. That must have been, it was sometime in the early 80s.
Wow.
So I've been reading comics since then.
So, with mine, I had similar experience. Mine was a Young Justice comic book, and
Yeah.
I always talked about it in several of my interviews. Last year, I was able to find it, as well as like 25 other ones in that same series.
Nice.
So
Nice.
did you ever try to find that comic, put it in your collection?
I had it for a while. I lost a bunch of comics in a flood.
Okay.
And it was one of the ones that didn't make it. Now, I thought that I lost a lot more. It turns out my mom rescued a bunch. I just got them back out of her storage space, stuff I hadn't seen for years and years. So it was bittersweet. You know, that one didn't make it. But I found a lot of other stuff that I thought was gone forever.
At least you got some.
Yeah, yeah.
You got some. All right, so that was your back issues, you know. Speaking of that, you said Light and Lad. Back then, he was orange hair, white kid, I believe.
Blonde, yeah, blonde, and it
now
was in the 80s.
He's currently black. So
That's
how do you
even
feel about
better.
the change?
I don't have any. I love to see it. I love to see it. I know that there's an argument against swapping and stuff, but you know, the legacy character mantles get passed down all the time. I love to see the representation. You know, this is the most exciting time to be reading comics because now there's popular characters, powerful characters that look like us. It's great.
Right.
It's great. I love it. I love that kids now who are starting to collect get the opportunity to see that because from my generation, my era, there was none of that. I could count on one hand, you know, which is why I've always been a fan of Falcon because he was one of those guys, you know, even back before I had the comics, I had the action figure and he was one of not that many. So I think it's super important and I'm glad that it's happening.
Okay. Yeah, you say Falcon. A lot of guys your age typically say Jon Stewart instead.
Right.
Personally, I didn't like Jon Stewart. I really didn't like him. He just wasn't my Green Lantern. Kyle Rayner was actually my Green Lantern.
You like Kyle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jon Stewart was in the TV show. He just didn't. I didn't feel him in the TV show.
Yeah.
But because of TikTok, you know, they got me doing videos of different superheroes and breaking them down who they are. And I had to do research on Jon Stewart. And man, his back issues got me respecting the character more.
Right. It's pretty cool.
Especially I got this thing called, I don't know what it is. I think it's called Change in History. I don't know. Color in History. I don't know. It's a DC series. They took all like the black characters and made like a little black label or some kind of book with them. And one of the books is Black Lightning. And 2 or 3 pages they go and say how Black Lightning and Jon Stewart didn't like each other because Black Lightning thought Jon Stewart was Uncle Tom.
Oh snap!
So,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that was a thing because you know, Black Lightning, he's mostly urban based. You know, he stays
right.
He turned down Justice League and stuff like that because he felt like Justice League was more like a white savior type of thing, and they only tackle big problems, but they have real problems in the hood, in the cities, and Superman's not coming. Then back in them days, Green Lantern wasn't coming.
Right.
I think that changed now. They had something happen in New 52 or something like that where they had an encounter and he respected them more.
Right. They worked out their differences. Black Lightning was one of them too from back in the day. He worked with Batman and the Outsiders.
Yeah.
That was a big one in that for me.
And funny thing about it, with that whole storyline, Young Justice, which was before Infinite Frontier and all that stuff, Young Justice made it canon. So that the TV show that Jon Stewart and Black Lightning are family.
That's right. The wife, the ex-wife. Yeah, that's right.
In the TV show, I don't know, was it Arrow or Black Lightning? They hinted of it because of the name. I think it was Arrow. His surname in the show matched her surname in Black Lightning.
Right.
And Young Justice played off of it because they went to the house about something. I don't know. But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
That's a neat connection.
Yeah, and you talked about representation and whatnot. So when do you find out that you're a blurred? And you use that word, so you know what it means. So when do you find out that you yourself is a blurred and there's other people that's like you, so you know what the word is and consider as good people?
I felt like a blurred way before I knew what one was. years ago, reading comics, watching anime, all that good stuff. I was so happy to find out that there's this entire community. That's one of the joys of the internet. You find your people and find out people are into the same things as you. So, I wear that badge with honor.
Oh, that's what's up, man. Are your kids blurs too, or are they venturing off something else?
My oldest, she's into anime too, stuff that I haven't caught up to or I haven't watched it. But yeah, she's pushing those she's pushing those boundaries too.
Okay, that's what's up. And are you married?
Yes. Yeah.
How is your wife one too?
She watches what I bogart the TV all the time. She watches with me.
Okay.
we were watching Titans and Arrow, and she got all into that stuff, and it's great watching stuff with her because she has no frame of reference. Like, she doesn't know that doesn't match what happened in the comic, so she just loves on it. We watched Iron Fist. She thought it was great, and I was like, no, this is. But then watching it with her, it was fun for me. It was fun all over again.
Yeah, mine's try to dibble in. I think mine's a little bit like the basic, Batman, Superman. Her favorite one is the Hulk.
Nice.
Yeah, I try to get her to watch She-Hulk, but she haven't sat down and watched it yet. But it's funny. Same thing going up. Like, she'll watch it, but she has no frame reference at all.
Yeah.
What she's trying to dabble in on the low, and she knows like I watch anime, whatever. She's trying to get into anime, but the funny part about that is she's watching the Netflix adaptations, the live action ones, and enjoy it. Like, she really enjoys the Death Note one.
Oh, yeah.
And I tried to put on the anime. She's like, it's not the same.
Went into it, yeah.
Like live action one better than that. Like, to the point that she wants to get the Shimigami. I can't think of his name right now. Tattooed on her. I was like,
wow, nice.
Get tattooed with him. You don't even watch the anime.
but backwards, right?
Yeah, it's funny though. But yeah, my kids probably blurred. It's like my kids actually knew. Was it the Justice League? Yeah, she knew the Justice League, like in main 5 Justice League characters before she knew her Disney princesses.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah. So
you did it right.
Yeah. So now I have to get her. Well, I've been teaching her the Marvel characters because one day, I think I was watching a trailer for Black Panther. I was watching something, and she called Black Panther Catboy. I was like, oh no, we're not doing this. And the funny part, we don't even watch PJ Masks, so I don't know what happened. So now I think she took the book from me, but I got an ABC book which has every characters of in Marvel, like A's for
nice.
So B's for Black Panther.
Yeah.
And, A's for Ant-Man. I've been had that for her, but she was always too little to comprehend. But now she knows the ABCs and she can pick it out. But now she is hard. She knows a good bit. Like, she knows almost everybody that was in Infinity War.
Nice.
That's when that book took place. So they gave her like a little list of pictures and names, and she like, who's this? Who's that? Who's this? And I tell her. But only thing now, since I taught that, when she's depending on how Batman looks, she confuses Batman with Black Panther.
Oh yeah,
because of the ears.
Yeah.
But that's what's up though. What's up? Now we're finna go into your comic book stuff. We're finna go into that. So what made you get into creating comics?
It was always something kind of in the back of my mind, and I spent a whole lot of years thinking of reasons why I couldn't do it. And then just something clicked one day. I was on Facebook and I saw this random post in some random group about a guy that's like, hey, I made a comic. Come check out my Kickstarter. And I was like, he made a comic? He just made one? And it just was like a light went off. I can just make one. So I spent some time doing some homework. I looked at some stuff in the idea book. I've been writing all this time. I always had stuff in the idea book. I'd written a script I was pretty happy with, but it looked like it would be really expensive and kind of ambitious to get it shot. And I thought, what better way to make my own comic than to make this story? I've written it for my daughters. it came from that whole desire for representation.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I had spent some time with my oldest and youngest showing them some things that I grew up loving, and they just weren't into them. And I realized they weren't into them because there's no black people in them. And I thought, I'm going to write one for you. So I wrote this story called The Ascendant. It's kind of dedicated to both of them seeing, you know, a black woman doing some fantastical superhero type stuff. So I thought, I'm going to make a book. I'm going to make a comic, and it's something that they'll be able to have forever. And it'll finally be, you know, music is I've been in love with for years, but my first love was books, and it will be something great to do. So I thought I can just do one. And that's how I got hooked up with Royal House.
Okay. That's great. That's great. You ended there, because that's my next question. Plus, you got a T-shirt on. I see that as well.
Yes.
What is it like being a creator in Royal House Comics?
Royal House has been one of the greatest creative experiences I've had. I mentioned before being surrounded by people who get it. And the idea for Royal House came from Roger Curtis. And he had this idea, like, what would happen if you get a bunch of creative people together and they work toward a common goal? They work together. And there's a couple other writers, a couple other artists. We all put our heads together, and, you know, it was kind of like the Wu-Tang model. Like, everybody's doing their own thing, solo projects, but then we come together and work on certain things. I've gotten to edit books. You know, I've gotten to help write scripts. It's been great. It's been great. We're really looking forward to the next year of releases. We got some new things in mind that we want to try. I'll have my first, you know, creator book coming out, and then a couple other things that I worked on. So I'm really looking forward to it, but it's been great. It's been great. I wouldn't change the thing. You know, even the mistakes, like, you know, you stumble sometimes, but then you figure it out. That's been a valuable part of the process. And, you know, just thinking how far ahead we've come in a short amount of time is pretty exciting.
That's what's up. That's what's up. What projects have either you, not you, what project have you been a part of at Royal House that y'all came together on and developed?
The first one I worked on was called Detective Rumble. It's kind of a Blade Runner-esque type story set in the near future in an African city. I also worked on Dombe, The Tale of the First Butcher, which is like a 0-issue, a prequel to the flagship series at Royal House is Dombe. That's where the game is.
Okay.
That's where there's a couple issues of the comic done. We're working on, we're in pre-production right now to do an anthology. You know, there's 8-10 characters in the game. Each one's getting a comic, a short story. After that, I worked on editing Pharaoh versus Priest issue 1. Issue 2 is in production right now. And we recently, I didn't work on it, but we recently just released a story called The Fat Gods with Mobix Comics. It's a really good story, fantastic art. And that just came out recently too.
Okay. And this video will be edited later on, post-production. I'm going to make it look all comic book like and whatnot. So, like, this part, I'm going to put up the game because I totally forgot about the game.
Yeah.
So, what made y'all do the game for the comic? And to break it down, each character to have their own comic. What made y'all just make an app, period, for that game, for that property, I guess, IP?
It was full out an idea, a desire to do more than just have a comic book. Comics are great, but there's other things. There's cartoons, there's games. And it was mostly that ambition to make Dombe something more than just a floppy. We actually had the game finished almost before the comic was ready. So looking back to stuff like Street Fighter, Karate Champ, and some old school stand-up arcade games, 2D stuff, we just kind of had the ambition to, you know, extend and expand the IP as much as humanly possible. We did a short, probably 15-second animation. We were at Comic-Con. We had that bad boy on loop all day, and it was great. I got more eyes than the comic itself. We had a demo of the gameplay. That got more eyes than the comic. People that like the comic go to there. Everybody else goes to the game. So it's just an idea to expand the IP, stretch it out as far as possible. And then on top of that, it's like these characters are neat. Everybody has a story. We spend a lot of time on backstories. Why not tell those stories? So we thought, let's do an anthology. We have the regular story going. Issue 1 and 2 are complete. Why not go ahead and do anthologies to build into that? So that's what we're working on now.
Okay. What was I gonna say? Comic-Con. How was that? I technically haven't been to a comic book convention. I've been to like some local stuff at the comic book shop and stuff like that, but I haven't never been to one. I'm thinking about going to the one in Atlanta coming up pretty soon. And so what was your first time going? How was that experience, or how was your experience with Royal House Comics going there?
I haven't been to a convention since the Michael Keaton Batman was coming out. So, wow. yeah, it had been a minute. So I didn't know what to expect. It was everything that I could have hoped for. On one hand, we sold out of all our physical copies of everything. We had done short runs of stuff, and that was great. On the other hand, I saw some amazing costumes. I met some great creators, like some really just cool people who were willing to kind of share their knowledge base with us. And just overall, again, being around people who are into the same thing as us. It was one of the coolest weekends I've had ever. It was fantastic. If you get a chance to go down to Atlanta, you should go. I imagine it's also great down there.
Yeah, I think about, I was talking about just me and my fiance going and whatever, but she wants to take the kids. I was like, I don't know about the kids, because I hear about con crud and all that stuff all the time.
Right.
But, we got some like beehive, face masks the kids used to wear during Corona time, so we might put them on there. But really want to take care because she's a fan of Walking Dead. It's a pandemic going on at the same time, so hopefully I can take a picture out with her and whatnot. But I really want to go because I got a game plan. I want to spoil it. I want to put it out there, but I got a game plan I want to do while I'm there, because I quite can't understand the whole paying for the booth and having comics. It just, the business mind, it don't make sense cost effectively. Everybody says networking and all that stuff. It just don't make sense to me yet. But
right
before I had a problem because I didn't have enough books. But now I got 3 projects. I was in an anthology project, and I got a manga, so I got good books put on my table and some prints and stuff like that. But I really want to see Chicago Moore, the guy who plays Miles Morales.
Yeah.
Because Chaz, from Legacy View, was based off him. So I think you also actually get him sign something whatnot with that, because the character is literally based on him from Dope. Really
that would be fantastic. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, but I got some pages you had sent over to me about your book, the band, the Blackfist, I believe, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So go ahead and tell people about that while I get it up on screen.
Well, Band of the Blackfist, again, came from this desire to be represented in spaces where people of color aren't traditionally represented. Along with comics, I'm a voracious reader. I read as much as I can. I was always into the fantasy novels. I can't think of any right now that there were that many people of color in. So what I wanted to do was create some of those characters and tell their story. But I want to do it a little bit different in those traditional kind of epic fantasy ways. You know how there's always a quest and like massive armies coming together to have a fight, and then it's over. Evil gets vanquished, everybody goes home. So I wanted to tell a story about, what happens after that. So it's this group of mercenaries, and, when they're called to repay a debt of honor, the sole survivors of a really famous mercenary group have to kind of put aside their grief and their differences, or else they'll see a royal bloodline end and be destroyed. So it's this three right here. When the story begins, all their friends are gone. They're the only ones left. So I just want to tell a little bit different kind of story, a little bit more character driven. And I'm really happy with how it came out. I'm looking forward to releasing it pretty soon.
Okay. And I see it's black and white. So it's a manga or just a comic book?
I guess you could call it a manga. I got a confession. I've never actually read a manga.
Hey, it be like that sometimes.
I did the black and white. It goes back to some old stuff I was influenced by. Savage Sword of Conan. It was a magazine and a fantasy story. It's Conan.
It kind of like some Berserker almost to me too.
Right. I've heard that too.
Yeah.
I've always been a fan of that aesthetic. The first two comics I did were black and white, and I wanted to make sure to try something story-wise a little bigger. The first two I did were shorts. They haven't been released yet. I want to tell a story of something a little bit bigger, but I wanted it to be black and white. Now, the next one will probably be in color, but I've always been a fan of that aesthetic.
Yeah. Yeah, the heavy black ink, like I love that and whatnot. But
yeah.
Why we got the pictures of let's give them the color one so they can see this color work. So these characters you got here, the one in the middle, who is that?
That is Sanis Jaro. He's a war priest.
A war priest.
Priest of a god of
like,
war, yes.
What not Dante. Oh man. Like the guy from Castlevania?
Yes. Sort of.
Okay.
Depending
which one from
he's
Castlevania,
the calm,
I guess.
Right. He's the calm, friendly, tear up stuff guy when he has to. He's kind of the voice of reason. The little one on the left, she's a gnome, just kind of a wrecking ball, fiery, loud, emotional. She uses the crossbow, and is famous for taking on lots of people bigger than herself. And the other, Ace of One Hand, she's considered the greatest swords person in this world. The continent's called Tarsus. She's considered the greatest sword fighter known on Tarsus. She's a little bit cooler, a little bit haughty. She's of noble birth, so she's a little stuck up. But, the two of them sometimes don't get along, the two women, and they got the guy in the middle kind of keeping the peace.
Okay.
The three of them together are a force to be reckoned with.
So I see this, see how this looks. So you have two daughters, right?
Yes.
So it's based off of you and your family, I guess. I see his haircut right here, and I see yours.
Pieces of it, yeah, pieces of it. Pieces of it are influenced by, because again, all this just came to show them that these things are possible. These stories exist with people that look like them. So there's a little bit of that influence in there. We take parts from real life and make up stuff and sprinkle that on top. But yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up. I did some of that in mind, like like I go by CJ in regular, but Chaz, his name is Chaz, and then Chaz Johnson. So I don't know if I wrote it in my books yet, but in my paperwork I got it. I think his mom calls him CJ. Just a nod.
Right.
There's little stuff like that. But it's deeper than that. I can't really break it down till I get that point of the book. But it's like his dad is actually like an imaginary friend I had when I was a kid. His name was Tommy, basically off of
Uh-huh.
the Green Ranger and Tiny Pickles from Rugrats. So I had an imaginary friend named Thomas.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I made his dad Thomas, the not the dad. So
That's cool.
just little
Those are the
things like
things that make this. Yeah, those things
yeah.
bring out the humanity in our stories. These stories that we're telling.
Mm-hmm. And um, two more questions, then we go to the last part of the show. How's your writing process with having a kids and family? Because some people they're single, they got plenty of time, but of course you got kids and the whole family. So how do you get time to do your work?
I kind of work it around them. My daughter has this is the space where I do all my writing. My daughter has an area right there, so she can kind of be doing her thing. I can go back and forth and do the things with her. We like to paint over there, and we built a dollhouse, and you know how it goes. And some of that other stuff, but I do extensive outlining. Part of my prep work is you do all your world building. I map out story beats, and I do really extensive outlines. So when it comes time to write the script, that first draft is almost already finished. I'm literally copying from stuff that I've written down. So being able to do that kind of pre-planning stuff just anywhere in the house, anytime, since I write it by hand, it helps. It helps working around them. Sometimes my wife has to ring the bell and call it. I got to come out of here, but I'm getting better at that. Getting better at that part.
Yeah, I totally understand, man. Totally understand. And last thing, Altastone, the media group company. I see you and a couple other people y'all posting about it on social media. You got this great artwork. Well, what is that? Y'all posting about it. You got little nods, little sprinkles of here and there. I see the artwork. I see y'all dropping little nuggets and stuff. Like, what is it? Is it something new or what is it?
It is a new project. So Altastone Media Collective comes from a similar idea that Royal House was built on. And the idea was what would happen if you take a bunch of indie publishers, people who've already done books, already have their own IPs. What if you all got together and pulled resources, contacts with some artists and maybe even financially and worked on an IP together? And those pictures and stuff that you've been seeing is the product of that. We got together and did some extensive world building, brainstorming, and built this urban fantasy story. And hopefully it'll be released sometime by the end of the summer. But it was just another idea, like get together, form like Voltron, and see how far you can go with it, because it's a lot different than doing things alone. Having 5 creative people, 10 creative people in the room is so much more interesting than just having one. So that was the idea behind that. And it's slowly coming to fruition.
Okay, that sounds great. Can't wait to see something drop. As well. I'm a part of it too. So
Yeah.
just want to explain it to people, but yeah. My side, yeah, it's definitely a great project. Can't wait to everybody know what we've been coming up with, because it's new. A lot of people say we couldn't be done, and we're doing it. So,
right.
Yeah. Now I'm finna go digging your crates. Digging in the crates is a DJ term. You go, or a producer term. You go back and pull some old records out. To bring light to certain things. All right. Yeah, daughter broke in again, but if you could go back in time and do one thing or change one thing, what would it be?
Oh, geez. If I could go back in time, I'm just going to go for it. I would go back to sometime in that era, 1619, and I would change the way that America was being put together and built in terms of racial disparities. There are some people that you can point out strategically who are responsible for kind of the way things move forward, some events, I would go and change those events completely, change everything, the entire way that our country that we live in now was built. Yeah, I would just go ham with it. If I could go back in time, I would change it all, going all the way back to those first settlers meeting the Native Americans. And then I'd be really curious to see what kind of beautiful world we would all live in now.
That's great, man. That's deep. That's deep. Next question. If you have one thing you want to leave for your legacy to your grandkids and how they saw you as a person or anything you worked on, what is that item or what thing or what message you want to leave them? Hey, that was my granddaddy's legacy.
I would want to leave them a collection of stories and art and music and creative things to let them know that anything is possible that they can put in their head. You know, everything comes from an idea. Any idea they could have, they could bring that to fruition. I would want them to think, man, that guy had a finger in 25 different pies. He could do everything. I can do everything. It would be great to leave something like that behind, just a kind of a body of work in many areas, just to let them know that anything is possible.
That's what's up, man. I like that. I like that a lot. But hey, that's in our chilling time, man. You was a great guest, great first guest.
Thanks for having me. Thanks again.
Yeah, I hope this interview was different from the other interviews because that's my target. I want my interviews be different from the other interviews and podcasts that I witnessed. Because some of them just loud out and boring, and just somebody just talking about Kickstarter for an hour or something.
Right.
And, you learn about this project or whatever they're doing, but you don't know the person. You know, like who are they? What they did this? So that's why I'm breaking it down, digging the crates, doing all that stuff, so we can not only learn about what are you working on and stuff like that, but also you as a person. So thanks for
great
coming
questions.
On,
thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem, man. So hey, appreciate you.
Bye-bye.
So yeah, man, the View never came. Hey, I guess he had put in work. Hopefully he all right. Hopefully he in an emergency room somewhere and whatnot. But I'm gonna close out the show without him. But appreciate Chuck coming on. That was great first interview for us. Well, for me, the View. He wasn't here. But thanks for everybody who tuned in. Like, subscribe to everything. This also will be on a podcast. You listen to it on your way to work, at work, or just chill in the house, or chill on the Green Box. And of course, it's Chill on the Green Box with the View and myself, Specks Thompson. We're out.